Viewers, you are welcome to yet another section of our program, Fine Relationship. We've dealt with a lot of troubles in relationship.
That's right.
But tonight we are trying to handle another topic. We've discussed on the functioning marriage and the dysfunctioning marriage, what it looks like and how to handle it. But today we want to see the internal purpose for marriage. What is the plan of the designer of marriage? How is marriage designed to be? So this evening we want you to sit back listening to this next episode, episode 23, God's pattern of marriage, internal pattern for marriage. So with me this evening is our relationship coach. He's indeed a relationship coach. So this evening he will be coming to discuss on this issue. But please, before we get into that, I want him to greet the viewers. So Pastor Caleb, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, viewers. You are here again. We welcome you once again on this powerful section, episode 23. It's all about the internal purpose of God, God's original plan. What is it that is the ideal plan for marriage? It is important that we talk about the internal, because marriage was not a product of time. Marriage was not pre-designed in time. Marriage was designed before the foundation of the world. Marriage was not an emergency plan that God raised up the moment something began to go wrong. I've heard somebody say that the woman was not part of the original creation of God. And I said to myself, I beg to differ, because if marriage was an internal plan of God, then the woman must have been in the original plan of God. So we are dealing with marriage, and that is not the plan that was scheduled in time. It was a plan that was there before the foundation of the world. And the reason why we have to look at God's internal plan of marriage is because marriage was not something that we all originated in our tradition. Marriage was instituted by God himself. God is the originator of marriage. And if God is the originator of marriage, you cannot find the meaning of marriage, the purpose of marriage, the original intention from any other place. It has to be from God. Listen to me, the product of a thing, the meaning of a product of any, the meaning of a product can only be found in the heart of the producer. You cannot find the meaning of the product from the product. You can only find the meaning of the product from the heart of the producer. So marriage is a product in time, but it is only when we get into the heart of the designer, who does not live in time. He lives in eternity, but he works in time. It is only when we get into his heart we can begin to understand the meaning of marriage. This is so fundamental, because you cannot judge the success. You cannot say that your marriage is successful if you have not known the original plan, original design for marriage. Because success is the fulfillment of the pre-designed intention of the producer of a product. So we can only say, you can only say your marriage is successful or that of your brother is successful when you take your marriage and put it on the scale of the original intention intended for marriage. So it is important today, as the women of God have said, we've looked at dysfunctional marriage, we've looked at every other thing, but now we want to look at what is an ideal marriage, what is the original intention. So let's first of all read the scripture from the book of Ephesians. In the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 22. I want to read from Basic Bible in English. Basic Bible in English. It says, wives, be under the authority of your husbands as the Lord. The next verse in 23 says, for the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, being himself the Savior of the body. 24 says, and as the church is under Christ's authority, so let wives be under the rule of their husbands in all things. Verse 25, it took over the husbands. It says, husbands, have love for your wives, even as Christ had love for the church and gave himself for it. Verse 26 says, so that he might make it holy, having made it clean with the washing of water by the word. Verse 27 says, and might take it for himself a church full of glory, not having one mark or fault or any such thing, but that it might be holy and complete. Verse 28, in verse 28 it says, even so it is right for the husbands to have love for their wives as for their bodies. He who has love for his wife has love for himself. I just want us to pause it a little bit here so that we can get into what is it that is the original intention of God when he thought about marriage, when he clicked on marriage in eternity past. What was it that is in the heart of God? The first thing that we need to deal with when we talk about the internal purpose of God in marriage is the first thing that we know here, woman of God, is that marriage was designed to be one man for one wife for life. That's the first plan of God in marriage. Marriage, as God ordained it, was designed for one man for one wife for life. Did you get that? Can we talk about that? One man or one husband for one wife for life. That's the first plan of God in marriage. Yeah, you can talk about that.
Okay. The original plan of God is for a man or a husband and one wife. That is why in that Ephesians 5, you see it repeatedly. His own husband.
His own husband.
There is no place for our own
Husbands.
which means that polygamy is not of God.
Yeah. It was not part of the
original plan. It's not part of the original plan.
Yeah.
Whatever that bring it into existence is human. And when it is human, it is because human, we don't want to go according to God's principle. He is the originator of marriage. Marriage began with God. And God gave his own principles for us to have God's own kind of marriage.
So what you're saying is that the original plan of God is one man, one wife, one husband, one wife for life. You need to, that's God. I'm not talking about what you want. I'm not talking about your culture. Now, you need to understand here that when God created man, he gave man the free moral right. He gave him the power of choice and the right of choice. Man is a free moral agent. He has the ability to choose what he wants to do irrespective of what God has put on the ground. So you have what you call sovereign will and you have what you call human will. Sovereign will is God's sovereign ability to decide that this is the way things goes. But man have the ability to choose what he want to do, and he owns that right to do that. Now, what we're dealing with here is the sovereign will of God. We are talking about what God in his sovereign will have stated that this is the way I want this thing to be. So marriage was meant for one man, one wife for life. But you know that that's not what we're meant it to be. So whatever problem that comes out of polygamy is not God. Whatever problem that comes from you not being faithful to your wife as a husband, or you not being faithful to your husband as a wife, every other problem that comes there, you created it, because that's a violation of the principle of how this thing ought to be, but you decided to use it the way you want to do it. You see, we have auto crash, we have plane crashes everywhere. The people who designed the aircraft, the people who designed the autocraft, they did not design the vehicles to kill people. But when people recklessly use the cars and use the aircraft and they have crashes, they shouldn't blame the producer. They shouldn't blame the producer. So God says, this is my perfect plan. If you use the product according to the recommendation of the producer, you are going to arrive to the blissful success that the producer had already stated. He said what? One man, one wife for life. Okay, don't quarrel with me now. You can ask the producer why he wanted it that way. Let's look at the second plan. Apart from that, the second plan is this. It says, the second plan is that marriage was designed for a man that loves and leads his family. A man that loves and leads his family. I shouldn't be saying a man now. I should be saying a husband. A husband, because we on this platform have agreed that a man is not a husband. A man is different from a husband, and a woman is different from a wife. So a man is different from a husband. We are dealing with a husband who loves his family and leads his family. Can we talk about that? That love is important. Or should I do that since I'm the man in the house also? Okay, that's a huge responsibility for husbands, because we were told how that love is. That love is not the way you want to love. The way you want to love your wife might be different from the way that the producer said the kind of love he's talking about. The kind of love you're talking about is not that kind of love you want to give. For you to really use this product, you have to go to the producer and ask him, what kind of love are you talking about? Now he says here that the love that he wants to be applied in marriage is that kind of love that Jesus had for the church, that made him to go to the cross and gave his life. Now this is the love. This is the love he's talking about. Now, oh my God, this is too huge. Are we now saying that a man that is not ready to die for his wife is not qualified? That's the love he's talking about. The love he's talking about. You see, most of the times we are there saying, women must submit, women must submit, women must submit. But we don't talk about our own responsibility as the man. He said, the man that God asked the woman to submit to is the man that is ready to give his life for his wife. But that's the producer's manual. The producer's manual said it's not just any kind of love, taking her to KFC, buy her. You know, when you are cheated around, you have slept with everybody. You say, baby, come. I'm gonna buy you some special thing. I'm gonna take you out. Then you say, am I not loving you? No, that's not the love he's talking about. He's saying that you will love your wife to that dimension wherein you are ready to put down your life. That's the husband's responsibility. And another thing is that you will be in position to lead your family. I've spoken about the leadership of the husband, the headship of the husband. You know, I'm hearing a lot of things about the husband being a master. Yes, the husband is the master of the wife. But it's not a master in the sense that we are looking at it. We are looking at it in the sense of slavery, in the sense of dominion, in the sense of authority, in the sense of subduing the woman. That's not what it means to be the master. It's talking about the headship. It's talking about ability to receive, to hear from your wife, from everybody in your family. Your ability to intricately and intimately connect with every one of them to the extent that you know what is going on within each and every one of them. And beyond that, you are able to analyze issues and be able to initiate a response that will bring change in the life of every other person. That's the work of the head that you carry right there. So it is the responsibility of the husband to love and to lead his family. That's the second one. Woman of God, let me take you to the third one. And I think now the third one, you have to take it. He said the third part of the purpose of God for marriage is a wife that respects and supports his husband's leadership. The wife that respects and supports the husband's leadership. Remember, the first one is one man, one husband, one wife for life. The third one is a husband that loves his wife and leads his family. Now the third internal plan ordained for marriage is that the wife must not just be a woman. It must be a wife that respects and supports the leadership of her own husband. Woman of God, can you take that up and let us know about it?
Yeah, what we are discussing tonight is God's principle.
Yeah, not
God's
Pastor
standard.
Caleb's.
Not what situation or condition have turned marriage in our days. What we are saying tonight is the manufacturer's manual. The instructions that when you abide with those instructions or you read the manual and follow the manual, then you're going to enjoy the marriage, or you're going to have God's kind of relationship. The word of God says that the woman should submit to her own husband. Her own husband. What does that mean? It's saying you must honor your husband. You must respect your husband. You must put him first.
In everything.
In everything.
Wow.
That is God's standard. And someone is asking the question, why must I do this when I'm not getting love from the man? Why must I do this when the man is not doing his own part? The answer is, in that Ephesians
chapter 5,
there was no condition. There was no condition. It said the woman,
this is your portion.
This is your role. I don't say to the women, do your own part. Do your own part. Forget if your husband is playing his own role or not. Because when you play your own part, God will intervene in your case. When you play your own part the way you ought to. The problem that we have in marriages today is that the man don't want to play his role and the woman doesn't want to play her role. So you find confusion
everywhere.
God made it to be easy and simple. Any complication is a human error. So for the woman, submit yourself, love your husband, care for your husband, make your husband the first thing, the priority of your life.
Wow.
And God will assist you. Follow the designer's manual, and you will get to your destination.
Great. That's part of the woman. You can call it submission, you can call it respect, you can call it honor. All of them works together. Woman, that is the internal plan of God. If you don't follow, what will it be if you went to hospital and the doctor diagnoses you and say you have ABCD disease, and he gives you tablets, he gives you instruction on how to take the tablet, and you come back home, you said, I don't think that this doctor knows what he's doing. I think I know this problem more than this, and then you redesign.
He asks you to take 2 tablets. You say, this man don't know how painful it is. I have to take it. My friend, you're on the way to go.
But you see, that's what we've done. That's what we've done with marriage. We have decided that Steve must marry Gabriel. And you get what I'm saying? And Luciana must marry Lucio. You understand? Or you said, I know of a culture now, I think it's in Swaziland, that it is becoming legal that men must marry more than one wife to help other ones who are not yet married. I mean, I'm reading all those things. You can see that laws are changing. You can see that rules are being changed. Is a time where we are putting aside the manufacturer's instruction and we are bringing our own instruction. And when we put it down and create problems of our own, we begin to blame him for what we created. We want human rights more than the sovereign rights and will of God. It's not going to work. You will only create confusion, because every single thing God made and man added to it will always end up in confusion. We are here to tell you that this thing works if we work it according to the manual of the producer. We still have one more. You know that one of the reasons why God created marriage is for us to raise godly seeds. Godly seeds. We need to be very careful here. Churches need to wake up. Believers need to wake up all around the world, because the problem that is in the marriage is going to affect everywhere. God set up marriage for us to have a godly family, and the godly family is ordained to raise godly seeds. We are raising children that are going to kill us tomorrow by what we are doing today. By this particular thing we are doing, we are raising children that are not going to listen to us. And if that is happening, the future is really blank. Now watch it. The reason for marriage is that we must raise children that obeys and reverence their parents. Ephesians chapter 6 from verse 1 to 4 tells you that children, the reason why God ordained marriage is for us to raise children, godly seeds that will reverence their father, reverence their mother, obeys their mother. In fact, that is the place where the basic attitude of obedience, raising children that have to obey, because if they fail in the family, they are going to fail in the church, and if they fail in the church, they're going to slap the teacher tomorrow, and if they fail in the school, watch them out in the larger society. We are the reason why all that is happening because we are not taking the steps that God have ordained. Woman, oh God, do you have anything to talk about children, raising godly children?
Yeah, I look at children as a farmland. Given to a farmer.
How many children do you have?
I have 4.
Okay, go ahead.
I look at children, I compare them to a farmland given to a farmer.
To seed.
To seed. It is an open land.
That's so.
Whatever you seed is what you're going to reap or you're going to get back.
Yeah.
So if you allow the farm to be empty,
or to sit
to
itself.
just stay on its own, you find weeds on it, which at the end of the day is not going to bless you or is not going to profit you.
That's true.
They become things that will be cut off and burned with fire or thrown into the bin. But if you see the land and you look at the land, you make decision that I want to plant a mango seed. You will give it time, you take the appropriate seed, you begin to sow it into that land. When you put the seed on the ground, you have time to check the seed. If it's germinating well, if it's coming up, if it's healthy. If you notice it is not healthy, because we find out that in farmlands, when we plant our seeds, weeds come up. Unnecessary one plants its own. So what the farmer does is remove
the weeds. And then allow the manure, the nutrients to be available
for the original seed.
That's true.
It is the same thing
that we do
that God is expecting from us, to have a godly home. You don't expect what you have not given to a child for the child to bring it back.
Wow.
You want your child to preach the Bible, you want your child to be at home, you want your child to read, you want your child to do this, you want your children to do good things, but you don't have any time to impact those things in them. It doesn't work.
Powerful. It doesn't work if we don't raise them. You need to understand that what you are putting in those children today, you are raising tomorrow's future. Is very close to us. If all you do is to put pornography in where they are, all you do is you watch whatever you want to watch because you think they are small, you are seeding into their life. How come that their children knows all the dirty music, but they don't have value that they are putting inside of them? So long as you are putting all those things, you bring your boyfriend as a married woman into your marriage and your children are watching you. You hit the woman and beat nonsense out of her. Wait, your children are watching you. You use all kinds of marriage and they are watching you. You are not only doing it for now, you are also projecting a future that is going to hurt somebody that is in the future. So you need to understand that. Let's give attention to our children. It is not all about you loving your husband and your husband loving you. Those children need to be raised, because today our schools are being taken over by the new age principles. Even the toys, all the cartoon stations are being taken over by forces of darkness, and children are being taught things that is not meant for them, just because we are watching and we are irresponsible in raising those children. Understand that the designer wants you to raise a godly seed from your marriage. The last one is a mutual supportive attitude characterizing husband and wife. This is good now. This is where we're going to pull it today. But this is good because I've had somebody who is preaching, and it's there. They said the men and women are not equal. I agree, they are not equal, because this is male, this is female. But we need to take that with a big understanding, because if you talk about equality, I didn't see God in the original design of marriage talk about authority. Authority was never an issue in the first marriage, but he talked so much about responsibility. We need to emphasize on responsibility instead of authority, because you cannot have authority where you are not taking responsibility. The pipeline of authority is responsibility. And never you think that the authority in marriage is based on gender. Who did us this? Who said that because I'm a man, then I have authority over my wife because I'm a male figure? It doesn't happen that way. It got to be a husband. A husband is not a man. A husband is someone who is ready to die for the wife. It got to be a wife, not just a woman. It must be somebody who is ready to submit, who is ready to put down her life in putting her husband up and honoring him respecting both of them and supporting each other, submitting to one another. You get to read that. It's in Ephesians chapter 5 verse 21. It's supporting, submitting to one another. It's not only the woman that have to submit to the man. It got to be submissive to one another. Because when you are focused on something, you are blind in some other thing. I'm saying this today because this is it. We have 5 basic items that are involved in the internal purpose of God. We need to recap it. Number 1 is one husband, one wife for life. Don't fight me. That's what the manual says. One husband, one wife for life. The second one is a man that loves and leads the family. A man that loves and leads the family. The third one is a wife that respects, honors, values, put first her husband and support her husband in his leadership role. The fourth one is raising godly children. Children that obey, children that reverence their parents, not the ones that will kill their parents tomorrow, not the one that will rebel against their parents tomorrow. Is our responsibility. The fifth one is that for there to be success in that marriage, for it to be an ideal marriage, that got to be mutual submission to one another, supporting one another. Don't just wait for her to do it alone. Both of us, we can get back at the same place and then we get it done. Today, I believe that these have really helped you so much in just understanding what the manual, the producer have in mind. And I believe if you can use it according to the producer's manual, it's really going to pay off. Woman of God, can you say something to our viewers as we begin to close?
Yeah, what I want to say is let the woman support the husband and let the husband support the woman. Rule your home, coordinate your home according to the manufacturer's manual, and you will have a successful relationship. Okay,
you just take this manual today, get back to work. If there is anything that is manufacturing, just fix it, because you have the complete, those are the equipment. You need to look at it right now. Just the same way you download your app, following the Play Store. Just download it right now. You're going to see that your marriage is going to become a very successful one. And you cannot say that it is successful when you don't know the purpose that it was ordained. Till we see you again in episode 24, I believe it's going to be awesome. Just keep on doing this. Thank you, Dame G. Thank you for 1 Point Travel, Rap Chicks. You guys are doing it again this time around, and we thank God.